Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing my comic load for the week. And luckily I got to read through almost all of my comic load. I did not get to read Scooby Apocalypse, but that's because I'm so far behind it, and I need to catch up. I'm like 24 issues behind. But that's neither here nor there. We got through most of the comics in a short amount of time, which is pretty awesome, so we get to talk about them all. But before we get into the comics, a little update for Patreon backers. First of all, thank you to all my $5 backers. As always, I give a thank you on my comic load video to Paul, the Comic Geek, Sammy Coppola of the Bat Brand, and finally Connor of OKayFabe. Thank you very much for supporting me. My wife and I are actually doing our first in a series of comic book movie reviews, where we're gonna, a comic book fan and a non-comic book fan give us our opinions on these movies. And the first video is going to be going up for the $5 back. It's the Green Lantern tier that's going to be going up shortly after this video for Batman Ninja, which is the latest in the DC animated films. So really excited to talk about that. Should be very interesting. So if you're interested in those reviews for movies, we're going to be doing the live action and also the animated for not only Marvel and DC and any comic book films in general. Mostly we're going to hit the DCs first, but we're going to hit up the Marvels too. So hop over to the Patreon, check that out. We got some great stuff going on that end. But with that said, let's talk about comics, because that's why we're here, and let's talk about our comic load. And we're going to start where we always start, with just a little bit of Batman in our life, and that was with Batman Detective Comics 980. So this is continuing the Batman Eternal story arc, where Tim Drake has been affected by the OMAC virus by Brother Eye and Ulysses Armstrong, and has become the future Batman. Basically a Dark Mirror interpretation of Savior, which was the Tim Drake of the future. And he's basically hunting down all the Batmen for the Belfry, all the Batman allies. He's screwing with them, particularly he's screwing with Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown. And he's also hunting down Batwoman, who is the catalyst for all the bad stuff that's happening in Tim's life. Obviously, he's not in his right mind, but on a whole, this issue was pretty solid. I think the ending part with Cassandra and Stephanie was really fun, and I thought the art was, for the most part, pretty good. I don't think there's anything that stood out to me that was overwhelmingly amazing. Detective Comics has been one of the best runs of Batman for Rebirth, but this issue is just okay. So if you've been enjoying the story arc, pick it up. But let's move on, and that is to Red Hood and the Outlaws, issue number 22. Enjoy the Penguin while he lasts, because he barely shows up in this issue. Like, this cover is incredibly misleading. But basically, each member of the Dark Trinity is doing their own thing. Bizarro is dealing with the fact that he's slowly becoming less intelligent. Red Hood is trying to balance certain aspects of his life, and he gets a mysterious envelope, but we never really get into that envelope in this issue. And Artemis is trying to plead with Lex Luthor to help out, because Luthor helped Bizarro twice, so maybe he would help him a third time. This is a very nice emotional issue, and it's a nice character focus on Bizarro. I really hope they don't make him stupid again, because as an intellectual character, he's actually incredibly enjoyable, and is a good foil for both Artemis and Red Hood, who are rough and tough characters. The art is pretty good on this, and really enjoying the developments from each character. Artemis, in particular, is starting to grow on me a lot more. It was hard for me to transition from pre-New 52 Artemis to the New 52 Artemis, but, I mean, Lobdell's doing a really good job with this. And I feel as though there's a lot more of a family unit here than it was in the previous Red Hood and the Outlaws run, so I definitely recommend picking it up. Back around the Birds of Prey, this is basically the end of the Birds of Prey run, and it kind of, and I don't want to give too much away, because there's a couple of things happen that involve many characters, in particular Huntress, and I've kind of been vocal before that Birds of Prey has been okay, but it's nothing really that's been something to write home to. But this final issue closes things up pretty well, and I enjoy how they give closure to each character. How it's not the end of the Birds of Prey team, maybe the comic, but not the team. The team is going to continue living on. So pretty decent issue. If you're a fan of Birds of Prey, you're going to really like it. If you're not, then, I mean, the series is coming to an end, so Time for the Immortal Man. This is the first of the DC Metal New Age of Heroes. Now, I could have swore, and I should have gone through my comics beforehand, that Jim Lee was doing the art on the original issue number 1, and how quickly he has jumped on. He's still doing covers, but we have a new artist on there, and luckily they do a good job at making me feel like it's Jim Lee's art, just a slightly offset version. But with this said, we get a little bit more about the Immortal Men, who they are, and more or less what their powers are. I haven't learned enough to remember all their names, but we do get a little bit more about the characters. And what I like about this is that I like the diversity of the characters. They kind of have a 90s X-Men feel to them. And I like the backgrounds. I know this sounds silly, but I love how it's in New York. I love how it has the skyscrapers and everything. And I feel as though it's a ton of action. Bad thing is that I really do not know what's going on in this comic. Maybe it's because I'm not quite as interested in this as I am in the other DC Metal comics. I think this hasn't grabbed my attention quite as much as, say, Silencer or Sideways or Damage has. But it's still pretty fun. So I'm sticking on with it for now, and I would recommend also probably sticking on. But if you're short on change, maybe not jumping on this. So moving on, Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps. Basically, we're still dealing with the Dark Stars, and Hal and Barry kind of talk things over about what it means to be a hero, what it means to kill and not kill, and kind of go into that ethical debate that almost every superhero goes into. And of course, it leads to the Green Lanterns having to team up with people that they normally wouldn't team up against, because they're going up against a threat that's legitimately pretty deadly. And I think that's one of the great things about this. The Dark Stars feel like a legitimate threat to the Green Lantern Corps. I really love that. I love the interactions between Barry and Hal. I really wish Hal would become a member of the Justice League again. Still a member, but he's a reserve member right now. He's a founding member. I want him to be on the team. And it would make more sense for him to be on the team than John, because John Stewart's the corpse leader, but whatever. But the art is good. I think the interaction is good. I love the Guy Gardner stuff with Carrillo, which was pretty fun. And on the whole, this is a solid issue. I mean, this has been one of the most stable titles and consistently good titles from Rebirth, and there's no surprise there. Moving into Flash issue number 46. This is the prelude to Flash War, and I'm not going to spoil too much, but let's just say Zoom, and I'm talking about Hunter Zolomon and Eobard Thawne are trying to work together to take down the Flashes in kind of a weird, evil, sadistic, bad guy kind of way. But of course they're bad guys, so they can't work with each other. They're two big egomaniacs, and Barry and Wally are trying to find best to deal with Wally's visions of pre-New 52 Earth, as well as his history in New 52 Earth, but not in New 52 Earth. It's complicated, but it's fun. This has a lot of good feels to it, a lot of good setup. I'm really looking forward to Flash War. And if you have not jumped on Flash, this might be the previous issue, and this issue might be a good place to jump on, because we're about to get into a really good story arc. But really, I enjoyed it. Next is Sideways issue number 4. So this deals with a new villain. And Sideways is an interesting superhero because he's doing for the publicity. Like, I guess he's a great play off what the world is right now. You take out your phone, Instagram, Twitter. I'm guilty of it too. Facebook. Trying to get your face out there, and that's what Sideways is trying to do. He goes up against a villain that can copy powers. So you kind of see him get put into a tough position. While this is going on, Sideways' mother is being interviewed kind of for him by her boss for an internship. Read it. It makes sense when you read it. And, of course, he needs to figure out a way to balance every aspect of his life before everything falls apart. I thoroughly enjoy Sideways. I think it's one of the titles from the new age of heroes, the DC Metal stuff, that really clicks and really works. I think stuff like to me, like, there's some comics that have some great potential to them, but they didn't quite click with me yet. Like Brimstone, The Curse of Brimstone. Like, I want to like it, and I think it's okay, but it hasn't clicked with me. Same thing with the Immortal Man. I want to like it, but it hasn't clicked with me. But this comic, I really want to like, and has clicked with me really good. Sideways is a fun, flawed, enjoyable character with a fun ability. He has a cool costume. I know it's kind of DC's play off of Spider-Man in a way, and it does it in a good way. It feels like young Spider-Man in kind of a way, and I like that. Like, when I tried to get into Marvel Comics, I was originally exposed to Spider-Man when he was younger, right? In the kind of the silver age of comics. Now he's older and has money and all this stuff, and it's just not the Spider-Man I want to be introduced to. This kind of fills that gap for me. So it does a very good job at it, and I recommend pick up Sideways. It's a fun new comic. Suicide Squad issue number 41. Do you like Batman? Well, you're going to get a lot of them here. Basically, Batman's breaking out Deadshot out of Bellevue so that they can go save his daughter. That is the story. It's fun. It's enjoyable. If you enjoy Batman, you're going to like this. The only downside to this, and the only reason why I would be hesitant to recommend it to everyone, there's very little of the actual suicide in this. This is very Deadshot and Batman focus. The Suicide Squad show up just a little, like the other members. The one thing I can say that's really nice and I'm happy for is we get a new member at the end, and I am pumped for this new member, and I hope it's a permanent fixture. Moving on is the new Superman in the Justice League of China issue number 23. They changed the title, so I'm still getting with it. I really like this comic cover because it has a lot of miscellaneous characters from the Justice League International, but also characters that we haven't seen in a while, like Elemental Woman, Grace, August Iron, General Iron, OMAC, like a bunch of people. So Dr. Light, so a bunch of fun stuff. Long and short of it is they're still dealing with the dragon. I forget what it's called, Dragonson, but he's called the Aquaman of China, even though he's from Korea. Basically, they're still dealing with him and possibly flooding Korea. Well, at the same time, the new Superman is trying to figure out the balance between yin and yang in his powers when it comes down to that. This is always a thoroughly enjoyable series. I did not like Yang on all new. I think it was Yang that was on Superman during the Truth arc, but he has taken the new same writer. He's taken New Superman and he's really rolled with it and made it a very, very fun comic. So good issue. Pick it up. If you haven't jumped on to New Superman yet, go back, pick up the trades, and then try to catch up with the comics. Wonder Woman, issue number 46. This is the beginning of the Dark Gods. Basically, people are losing faith in their gods and gaining faith in these Dark Gods. In particular, Cheetah, who goes on a killing spree. And this issue should just be Cheetah. Why is she a badass? Well, you get to see it here. She just absolutely tears through people. And the reason why Cheetah is one of the deadliest opponents Wonder Woman has ever had. We get a nice guest star that sets up for the next issue, and this is a good setup issue. I wouldn't say it's anything to write home to, but I'm really looking forward to what's coming next. And finally, rounding things off, Justice League No Justice issue number 1. This is a 4-part miniseries which is going to lead into the relaunch of the Justice League title outside of Metal. And the long and short of it is that Brainiac picks up the Justice League and say, hey, yo, bros and girls, you screwed up. You broke through a hole in the source wall, and a bunch of evil shit is coming through, and you gotta fix it. He didn't say it like that, but that's basically the thing. Basically, Brainiac comes to warn the Justice League, and he picks up various different non-Justice League members from the Suicide Squad through Teen Titans, Justice League Dark, all these different factions that these people were members of at one point, and they make 4 subgroups to take care of the evil, for lack of a better term. This is a fun setup issue, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the series. I think Justice League needed a fresh start for a while now. Christopher Priest's run on it has been fun and enjoyable. but it hasn't been as good as it was in New 52 in a long time. If anyone's going to bring it back, it's going to be Scott Snyder. A little pissed my boy Hal's not there. I know I mentioned that earlier. Nothing against any other Lantern, but Hal's my boy. But this is a solid setup issue, and it's a great jumping on point for anyone. Anyone. But where the hell did Aquaman go? He's in the beginning of the thing, and he just disappears. It was no question on what my pick of the week was going to be, and I might as well throw it at you guys right now. Without a doubt, my pick of the week goes to Red Hood and the Outlaws. Such an emotional issue, and it shows you why this comic is so good. So fucking good. I love the interactions between all the different characters, and in particular, I think Bizarro has turned into a very fun, loving character. So that is my pick of the week. With that said, I'm going to end this video here. I got some more videos planned and ready to go. So I hope you guys are looking forward to it. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, the links are down below. Post regularly on both. And again, support on Patreon would be amazing. Thank you very much for everyone that does, and thank you everyone that watches. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.